In this video, we're going to show you how you can make kombucha at home with nothing else, no other ingredients except for tea and sugar. And also we're going to be showing you the second fermentation process so that you can use your own fruits and flavors at home to dress up your kombucha.
Alright.
Okay.
I procrastinated for over a year before starting to make my own kombucha because I was waiting to get a SCOBY off a friend. And there are actually $1 million mail order SCOBY businesses in the States. But a little known secret is that if you just make the sweet tea and put it in a jar with a breathable top, it will grow a SCOBY by itself. You can get started today. If you want to guarantee that process a little bit better, you can add some kombucha, store-bought kombucha, and obviously if you get a SCOBY off a friend, then that's an even faster start. But to grow your own SCOBY just takes 2 weeks putting sweet tea in a small jar with a breathable top on it.
Here it took us like 14 days, and the SCOBY grew, a little bit in that jar, and eventually has gotten to this size since we've been using it. And we now make kombucha within a day and a half, thanks to this beautiful, healthy SCOBY.
The SCOBY, it may start small, but it will actually grow to occupy the space of the container that you put it in, and then it will start to grow other SCOBYs in layers. We have it in this big, it's a water bottle, HDPE plastic, that you buy filled with water in. Probably once a year we have to empty it out and cut the SCOBY out because it will start to occupy too much space. But the beauty of having a big SCOBY or several SCOBYs stacked like that is that it does process in less time. So instead of taking up to 8 days or 10 days if you're in a colder environment, in this warmer environment with a big SCOBY, it's like as little as a day and a half. We use what's called a continuous flow system. So it basically means you don't have to clean it between batches. We're going to fill it up today with sweet tea that Jessica's prepared, and it's now cool, and with the right sugar. And you always want to leave a little bit of kombucha in there, but if you have too much and you leave it too long, it'll start to become very vinegary, and it could even change the characteristic of the SCOBY to become acidic, and then you might have to start again. So the key is leave a little bit of kombucha in there and don't leave it too long so that you have to start again.
And right before we fill this up with the tea and sugar to start fermenting to make the kombucha, we actually empty out all of our old liquid first, because after a time of these SCOBY getting so big and strong, it can make it, like he said, vinegary pretty fast.
This one has too much leftover kombucha in there that will be really vinegary. That can be diluted and actually used on the plants in the garden. They quite like it.
I'm gonna taste it. Oh yeah! So I made this tea 2 days ago. It really just needs, like 8 hours. You want it to cool all the way down depending on your climate before you combine it with sugar. We make this in big batches. So to spell this out, this is 18 liters, and we do about 75 grams of tea leaves added into water to make our black tea. So that would mean per liter of water, it's about 0.24 grams of black tea leaves. So that's what you would do first.
We are lucky that we can buy loose leaf organic tea, and ideally you'd find a good source for loose leaf tea. Some people, if you're making small batches, will use the little tea bags, and I've noticed that depending on the tea, they come out at different strengths, so that's an indicative weight, but basically make it the strength that you like it.
Yeah, through this process, it's going to take a few times of you making kombucha to figure out at what point is your favorite taste, fermentation, how bubbly it gets. It's going to be trial and error for you to figure out how you like it, but this is the strength that we like it at, based on these measurements.
And so the sugar provides the food for the SCOBY, the SCOBY being the symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeasts that looks like a mushroom. But you could use green tea that's called Princess Kombucha, or even yerba mate. The tea provides the acidic environment that the SCOBY needs to survive. And the only concession with that is SCOBYs apparently used to the tea that they were grown in. So if you start a SCOBY in black tea, then stay with black tea for that one. If you want a green tea one, then make that separately. I haven't tested it, but that was something I saw. We can't put the tea with the SCOBY until it's cool, or room temperature, and it's easier to dissolve the sugar if you put it in while the tea's still warm, but in this case it's been cooling overnight, so whatever, we'll just stir it a little bit more. So 18 litres, 5 of these, 5 cups.
6. So right now we're adding in sugar based on every 3 liters of tea, 1 cup of sugar.
How many is that? Just joking.
We're gonna have a really sweet kombucha. We used to add the sugar per liter as we were mixing it into the bottles with the SCOBY, but we had a scientist come and help us perfect this in a way that it's more consistent. So now we add the sugar into the whole batch first so that there's not different factors that can affect it and make it come out differently. It just keeps it more consistent.
We're actually the first in Miske to be making kombucha. People really like the taste here. They're not used to it at all, but instead of, they find it just as tasty as Coca-Cola. Cochabamba, where we live, or the region, department of Cochabamba, has one of the highest rates of diabetes in the world, 1 in 10 adults, and mostly that's a factor of how much soft drinks they're drinking. So the fact that they like the taste of this and it's just as refreshing as Coca-Cola claims to be, it's a really good tradable product for us. And while we could commercialize this, we basically do it on a cost recovery basis. So I call it like the gasoline for the volunteers. When we take our drink break, we really enjoy having a fresh, cool kombucha. And we also trade it for mechanic work, we trade it for sawdust from the carpenter, cheese from the neighbours, and it also helps with weight loss, to reduce symptoms for gastritis. It's a probiotic, so it has a lot of medicinal properties that some people like to buy for those reasons also. And
we also make ginger beer. They love the ginger beer even more because it's more sweet, but we use it for the same purposes that he just explained. To trade, to fuel our volunteers, to have a nice soft drink in the middle of the day. So we'll probably make a video on that ginger beer soon if you're interested.
We prefer not to use white sugar in our cooking and in sweetening things. We use mel de carne, which we make ourselves, like blackstrap molasses, from blocks of unrefined sugar. But what I've found through using kinesiology, which there's going to be a course on that soon, is that the white sugar gets eaten by the SCOBY and becomes beneficial, so it overcomes the negative of white sugar in this instance.
Okay, now let's bottle it.
Pop a funnel on it, filter. We don't have to measure it, just make sure we're going to spread it equally between this bottle and the next one to keep both SCOBYs fed. This strainer just keeps the black tea leaves from going into the bottle.
So now that we have our tea ready with sugar in our bottle, ready to ferment, I'm going to put a clean stocking for it to breathe. You can use a stocking or a sock, but this is a lot better because there's a lot less access for bugs to get in. And you want to put it in a cool, dry place. Just make sure that you don't forget about it. And then we'll check on it tomorrow.
So you want to make a note of when you bottle it and have an idea of when you should start checking it. When we know that it could be ready, half a day earlier we check it, and every half a day until it's right at its point, and then you have to bottle it and put it in the fridge. If you're a little bit late, you can add some more sweet tea to it, but I prefer not to do that because you're probably ending up drinking more sugar, so better to stay on it.
Okay, it's the next day. I think it's been like 28 hours since we made kombucha. Simon's not here, he's running errands in the nearby city. So I'm gonna check the kombucha by myself and see if I think it's ready. I'm taking a picture because I'm pouring off the top of the kombucha. It's kind of hard to test it just off the top because it tends to taste different than when it's all mixed together if you're making it in a big batch like we are. But I'm gonna do my best, and I know how it tastes on top with how I like it when it's all mixed together. So you'll figure that out. It's crazy. It's done. It's perfect. Like if I didn't check on this for a couple more hours, it would be past. And you could tell it's past whenever it tastes more vinegary. Thank God I checked it. Like when I was making kombucha in Las Vegas, it could take me 7-10 days. Our SCOBY is just really large, really efficient and strong. And after you use a SCOBY so many times, it's only just gonna happen faster. That's what happened here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bottle this and then start the second fermentation process. All right, I have some pineapple that needs to be used in the refrigerator, papaya, mint that I just got from the garden. You can do the second fermentation, with whatever your favorite fruits are. We go hard during mango season making mango kombucha, and we'll even mix it with ginger beer and sell, trade, gift that. It's really delicious. So I'll go ahead and show you how I process this for the second fermentation. So we have these repurposed plastic bottles that we use. You can use glass, which I think is usually recommended, but we have a lot of people who come through here and leave us plastic stuff that we can repurpose. And as you can see, we put about 20 to 25% of the fruit puree, and we're gonna fill the rest with the kombucha tea. During this step, we filter out the SCOBY as we're bottling the kombucha. So we got our papaya kombucha, our mint pineapple, and regular, and this is what was left over. So these two are gonna go in the refrigerator. I find with plastic that it's just a lot easier to stack in the refrigerator because we have so much of it. A little tilt, not a shake. So now to put these in a cool, dark place for the second fermentation, that should take, we recommend to check it every day to see where it's at. You definitely don't want to go a couple days without checking on these because they could explode. It's happened to me several times before the ginger beer. It's like a bomb goes off. As I believe we had mentioned earlier, but just to restate, we left just enough kombucha tea in here to barely cover the SCOBY. If you want your SCOBY to just keep growing, you can leave a little bit of extra tea in there. That's why ours has gotten so huge. I'm just gonna cover this with the stocking and put it back underneath our sink where it will stay cool until the next time we make kombucha. We're about to have a whole bunch of people here, so we're gonna be making kombucha a lot again. Kombucha has brought us a lot of value in life, not just with our health, but also in relationships with our neighbors and friends, being able to gift and trade. It's super important to us and to fuel the people that we have come and stay with us. So we hope that it brings you value as well, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya.
Salud.
Salud.
He hecho en mi casa. Se llama kombucha. Refresco sin alcohol.
Bueno, muy bien.
¿Qué piensas? Rico. Yeah.
Está bien.
Como un comercial.
Rico está.